When it comes down to my VAWA, Violence Against Women's Act, my ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, when it comes down to the Fair Housing, HUD, Equal Opportunities, I was done so wrong, okay? I was done wrong by two agencies. I was done wrong by the Oklahoma Finance Agency of Oklahoma, and I was done wrong by the Kansas City Housing Authority of Kansas City, Missouri. I was done wrong, okay? Um, I was not able to speak on this because I was legally advised not to for a while. Um, but they recently corrected some things, and so therefore, I kind of can't move forward right now unless there's something else that comes up. There was a police report filed that I filed against someone at the Kansas City Housing Authority on behalf of my rights being violated and harassment because the person ended up um, emailing me after hours to deliver bad news, basically. Excuse me. And so, um, I mean, she basically lied, said that she did not get my portability package. She lied, said that she didn't have any information as far as me wanting to transfer my voucher, and said that they don't participate in VAWA, which every single housing agency participates in VAWA, every single last one. And she lied about that flat out in an email. And so I'm gonna file a police report. And prior to that, like I said, I filed a formal HUD complaint, which is where I went online, and this goes for anybody. You can go online to the HUD website, and there's a form that you can fill out where if you feel like that your civil rights have been violated or you've been discriminated against in any type of way, you can fill out this form, and you have to describe in detail what happens. It gives you 4,000 characters that you can fill out, which is pretty good amount of characters that you can fill out in a box to describe what happened. And they can really like audit. They can do audit. They can go and audit the people. And so I found out the reason why I was homeless this whole time. And it's because they were not counting my dependents. The Kansas City, Missouri Housing Authority and the Oklahoma Finance Agency conveniently decided to not count my dependents when doing my paperwork. Therefore, I could have been had the house in Muskogee. It was only $1,395 when I reapplied for it. Mind you, for each dependent that you have, and I have four, they're supposed to deduct $480. All right. Now, as of January 2026, I believe that number has went from $480 to $500 per dependent, but they have until I believe July of this year to correct that number in their system. So they're supposed to deduct um, between $480 and $500 off for each dependent, and I have four. Plus, they're supposed to deduct an additional $550 off for someone with disabilities. And like I said, I'm disabled. I've been disabled for a long time. Um, and like I said, I have a physical disability, but my mental disabilities, my CPTSD, my major depression, my generalized anxiety, all that stuff is way worse than anything that anybody has to deal with. So I was being re-traumatized, re-victimized. I was being constantly triggered into an emotional state, and I was mentally declining because of what they were doing to me. And I would like to say that, oh, I'm stronger than that, but no, like I've been through this cycle of abuse for so long that it has taken a toll on me, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Um, so these two agencies, they they have fun, basically playing with my life, leaving me and my children homeless, and we could have been in that house. We could have been in that house from day one. I would have never been homeless, but everything happens for a reason. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm telling myself that everything happens for a reason. So it's all good because all part of God's plan, right? I keeps the word of God with me. Keep it. Keep the word of God next to me, okay? This is my grandma's pendant. She passed away in 2024. I use this as my bookmarker. She's my ancestor, and I love her dearly, and I miss her so much, but I know her spirit lives within me. These are my ancestors. This is my grandpa on my dad's side. She passed away in 2014. She's so beautiful. She's Choctaw Indian, okay? So my grandmother's Choctaw Indian. My grandpa, this Creek Indian. He was a very prominent Creek figure in Creek Nation. And he had an orphanage, and he was a part of the Light Horse, and he was very, very close to the elders and a part of building up Muskogee, a part of building up Oklahoma in the first place. Built up Fort Gibson and all those places, right? He was part of Tallahassee and Redbird and all that places over there. This is my grandmother that passed away in 2024. This is her sister that passed away when I was younger. This is the house that my grandmother was born. She kind of grew up in this house over in Turley, Oklahoma. This is in Turley, Oklahoma, okay? And I think it's finally fell down, but I was able to visit this house when I was a kid. This is another ancestor, and I got another one behind here. Hold on to the birthday cards from my grandmother. These are birthday cards that I have. So when I came to Oklahoma, it wasn't just, oh, I wanna be Creek. I wanna claim land. No. It was never none of that. It was never about that to me. I love my ancestors. I honor my ancestors, and I'm walking the walk that they didn't get a chance to walk. Okay, that's what I'm here to do, and that's what I'm gonna do. But that wasn't my main priority. My main priority and focus was getting me and my children into stable housing because I fled from my abusers. I fled from gang stalking. I fled from targeted abuse. I fled from domestic violence. I fled from a man that was trying to kill me. I fled from family that wanted to sacrifice me for freaking life insurance policies. And it's that deep. You know what I'm saying? They already bought me a burial plot that I don't plan on seeing no time soon. I came to Oklahoma to start over. And I feel comfortable to say Oklahoma because this is where I'm going to die. This is where I came. This is where I'm going to live the rest of my days. This is where I'm going to die. And eventually it will be on my own land or my ancestors. It just depends on how it plays out. But they left my dependents off. And what happened was, why I brought this up is that me and the portability specialist from Oklahoma, she told me she was Creek. So I thought we had something in common. She was like, oh, I'm Creek. And I'm like, I'm Creek too. And we started talking about background and stuff like that. And as soon as I started telling her about my Creek history, she ghosted me. She ghosted me for 30 days. And, in that time, I suffered, and it's okay. So I don't know what her vendetta was, but the original person at the Oklahoma Finance Agency, I don't even know this lady. She had a vendetta against me. They both conspired against me to leave my children off of my income, which would have deducted money over $1,000 off my income so that I would have been able to afford a house. I could have been established health care. I could have been established myself, but they left my dependents off, therefore making me and my children suffer. So it was never about me being petty. It was never about me just going back and forth. It's always been about me reclaiming sovereignty. It's always my whole entire family, my bloodline is from Oklahoma. My entire bloodline. I have family that died on the Trail of Tears, family that died in the Civil War, okay? Family that they shed blood. My grandfather built up Oklahoma, and then was chased off his land to live in Los Angeles. And some of his kids went behind him. But I'm back because I have the same warrior spirit that he had. And I wholeheartedly believe that it's my calling to return to ancestral grounds because I'm sovereign at heart. I respect nature. I respect the land. I respect the sun, the moon, the stars, the sky, the water. I respect the animals. I respect the heartbeat of the earth. I have a sovereign soul. I don't believe in revenge. I believe that's left up to the Most High Creator. So now things are finally beginning to work itself out. Just a little bit. But these people, they was dead wrong anyway, because at the end of the day, where's the professionalism? Even when it come down to the people that was at the shelter. I ain't did nothing wrong to none of these people, but it is what it is. The people that's good and kind at heart get hurt the most, but that's just the way it is in this world. But I had to turn into somebody that I didn't want to be in order to be able to fight for my rights, in order to be able to fight for my dignity and for my children. Moral of the story is that I was persistent. I was not going to give up. My children were watching me, so it didn't matter how many times I cried. It don't matter how many times I had to go to a hotel room. It don't matter how many times I had to, scream, shout, cry, and it don't matter. Um, while I was here, I was able to be formally recognized by someone that was a part of the Creek Nation Council, a council member. Right now, tensions are very, very high in Creek Nation, but I got my formal recognition, and that's all I needed to move forward. And you know, it's a very hostile situation at Creek Nation right now as far as people getting their tribal cards, and that's because you have what's called the freedmen slaves, the freedmens, and the blood Indians. Okay, now on me, I have both blood. I'm Creek by blood and freedmen because my grandfather was a full-blooded Indian. His mama was full-blooded Indian. His grandma was full-blooded Indian, and then her mama was full-blooded Indian. Okay, full blood. Um, but then there is some Cherokee got mixed in there though. But um, my third great grandfather, who was full Indian, married um, a woman that was fourth of a Creek, fourth of an Indian, and the rest African American. So she was fourth, and she did have Indian blood in her, but not as much as her mama, who was a third Indian. So, anyways, I was able to trace all that back. But because of my grandmother being a freedman, classified as a freedman and later classified as Negro, that side will be classified as freedman. However, she was allotted land, so was my grandfather. They was married. They combined allotments, and that's a lot of land. Um, my grandmother had land. That's a lot of land. I'm not trying to go back. I'm not trying to go do all that, go after all that stuff that happened over 100 years ago. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to come here and build a life and future for my children in the most sovereign way possible. And the way I plan on doing that is via social media, building up my content, building up my trust with my audience, um, maintaining transparency with my journey. My children are very talented, very, very talented. Um, and also building up a support system while I'm, here. This is only the beginning of my life, the beginning of a new chapter. So then this chapter does not start off perfect. This chapter does not start off the way that you would think a fairy tale should start off. No, this chapter in my life is the transition. It's the transformation. And the transition and the transformation is not always a pretty process. Matter of fact, it's very ugly. When you're healing, it's ugly. When I got shot in my leg and I was healing from that, oh, it was ugly. I still don't want to show my leg. I'm going to show y'all my leg, though. So y'all can say, oh, she disabled. Well, I'm going to show y'all my leg. Of course, it was way worse then, but this is where the bullet went in. And then this is where the bullet went out. Now, do you see, this is my shin bone right here. You see that? My shin bone. You see the muscle right here. Me being shot, the bullet went in through here, boom, came out through here, blasted out my whole entire leg. It just blasted. It was all laid open, okay, with a 9mm. And I'll tell y'all that story in another video too. But that's what happened to my leg. And it's ugly. It's uglier in person, and I'm gonna get a tattoo that covers it up. I couldn't walk for a while. I was on crutches, and I have nerve damage from that in my foot. And I was taking gabapentin for a while for nerve pain and stuff like that, and I had to come off of it. I was up to 600 milligrams a day on gabapentin, and I'm like, no, I can't take it. But when I was on it, I was able to walk a lot better. Then, now they're trying to prescribe me something called Cymbalta. But these medications they trying to prescribe me for my nerve pain, it has bad side effects. So I'm like, I just deal with it. I just deal with it. and it's not like pain. It's like a feeling of sensation, like my foot is asleep. I get the sensation that my foot is asleep a lot of the time when I'm walking, um, even when I'm driving and stuff. Like I get the sensation that my foot is asleep. But mind you, I got shot back in 2021. So when you are disabled or when you become disabled, you learn how to adjust to your disability. When someone is blind, they learn how to, or they suddenly become blind, they learn how to adjust and adapt. When someone loses a limb, they learn how to adjust and adapt to their disability. I was shot in 2021. Since then, I've learned to adjust and adapt. And then sometimes when something happens to you, like a car accident or something tragic, sometimes you don't get symptoms till later on down the line. So that's how it is in my case. But the CPTSD and all that stuff stemmed from my childhood, and I never stood a chance. So my whole entire life has been spent seeking stability, and in that time, I had been through a lot of abuse, a lot of self destruction. With my ex, I mean, everything. I've created more traumatic karmic cycles and stuff like that. And when I came to Oklahoma, like I said, I'm comfortable with saying it because my my ex, he's locked up right now, and there is a pending trial date that I will be having to go to trial for. But my abusive family members and stuff, they're in another state, and recently I've reached out to help for them, and they're not helping me. They're they don't have it or whatever. So it's like, okay, fine. I have built up somewhat of a support system here. I have Creek Nation. Creek Nation is helping me, um, and I have the support system here at the shelter. Um, I've had the Kiowa Band Tribe Indians help me. I've had the Cherokee Indians help me. Um, I have met different people on my path that are like, yeah, I teach you how to go fishing in Tallahassee. And, oh, so I've met people along the way. Um, even people that certain people, I can't give their names out, but people that pointed out the mistakes that were done to me in my file with with this whole housing authority thing. That's respect. And so, even when it's cloudy, even when things look bad and look down, I've always kept my faith because I know that my intentions have been pure since day one. My heart has been pure since day one. So, however people treated me, it has everything to do with them and not me, because I wholeheartedly believe that my times of troubles and sorrows are coming to an end, regardless of what's going on in the world. I believe in my heart that those that endure to the end will get a chance to make it to not only the gates of heaven, but will get a chance to have karmic retribution and karmic justice served to those who have done them wrong. And so I'm putting that in the Most High's hands. I'm going to continue to read my word, continue to honor my ancestors, and continue to move forward on my journey. If you watch this whole video, I appreciate you, and I want you to stick around for the rest of my journey. And I want you to give this video a thumbs up for me. Heart my videos, like my videos, drop a comment in the comment section. If you have a similar story to share, I'm open to hear it. I'm going to continue to share my progress, but I'm going to save that for next week because there has been a little progress made. But, you got to be careful sharing certain things online because people like to throw some salt on your plans. So, anyways, y'all, thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all, those who have followed my journey and those that are going to continue to follow my journey. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all help me and my children so much. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all on my next one. Peace.